Kneeling on my blood-stained floorboard, headed eastbound on Highway 70, I'm frantically scrubbing away what was once a decent Vicodin buzz. A brewing paranoia that this blood will never come out is compounded by my relentless companion anxiety, wondering how Hank and Dicky can so casually be sitting in the back seat, drinking 40s of Miller Lite, and playing a Golden Girls round of F, Marry, Kill. Their foolish game is tearing me apart, and the fact that Blanche is out of the running is not something I've been able to wrap my mind around yet. Fooky is white-knuckling the steering wheel and skipping through a Too Short CD, searching desperately for that one song that sounds different from all the rest. The way he keeps adjusting the zipper on his black Adidas tracksuit like he can't decide how much cleavage to expose is adding to my sudden urge for self-harm. The ball twisting all started shortly after Hank yanked the green Guinness t-shirt over his head with a clenched fist and called bullshit on Fooky. It was the way Fook told us with a straight face that Gonzo had an emergency install job with his cousin today that just happened to be in Effingham, Illinois, that first set things off. Fook was prepared for the first round of objections, insisting that we not shoot the messenger. But when Hank went for round two, pushing for details that Fook just did not seem to have, his narrative began to crumble. After passing the 237-mile mark, but still 1,000,000 miles from surrender, Fook's head tilts to the side and a sly grin emerges, like he had been praying for Hank to open that door all along. He started by saying, in a light-hearted way, a way that could easily have been taken in jest, "What can I say? No one knows where to get any dope in this town. People are starting to freak out." The way he said freak out was intended to make light of the whole situation, but then he turned it around and asked Hank, "You wouldn't know where to score any yo, would you?" Hank gripped his thumb until he could feel a pulse and said neutrally, "Yeah, Fook, it's been hard on all of us." Fook has a theory. It's a plausible theory if the laws of physics or basic biology didn't apply, or if I didn't happen to have personally been there. But his conviction that borders on arrogance is causing me to question everything I think I know. He vilifies the people on Horus, suggesting there was a mystery third man at Joey's by calling them dumbass trolls, insisting that Demeen alone did the deed. He also mocked the idea that there was some mythological Irishman who now runs the St. Louis dope game exclusively from some secret cottage out in the middle of nowhere. I don't blame Hank for laughing out loud, just like I don't blame him for not saying anything else except, "Yeah, well, I guess that's an interesting theory, Fook." I don't blame Hank, but similarly, I don't blame Fooky either. I wish he was as right as he is certain, but those who need leaders aren't qualified to choose them. And anyway, I've got real problems to worry about. I hold up the blood-soaked rag in my hand and say, "Look at this shit. This is like a scene from some goddamn Tarantino movie." Fook takes that opportunity to laugh unnaturally loud and quote Pulp Fiction in a vain attempt to change the subject. "I saw you get it wet, motherfucker. Mine didn't look like no motherfucking tampon." "It's not funny, you chubby bastard," I seethe, swallowing an entire Xanax bar and soaking up more blood. "This shit may never come out." I can't believe that cat bit me. Dicky is trying to wiggle his fingers through the crusty black bandages his hand is wrapped in. I think I can smell the stale blood dried on the web of his hand, and it's causing me to gag. The teeth marks may or may not heal at some point, but when I wrapped it up last night, it was a gruesome horror show that I've only seen before in my dreams. I think I can still play and everything, but what kind of dude bites a motherfucker? Hank remains relatively calm and explains that anything can happen in a fight. "I've been bit a few times. This dude I was locked up with in Fulton was a biter. Hell of a spades player, too." He trails off, then adds, "I'm just saying, dude, fights are fucked up. You roll the dice every time. A dude could have a gun, a fucking hammer, ready to knock your teeth out. You just never know." Dicky lets that sink in for a beat, then carefully replies, "Yeah, well, I didn't have him in some anaconda chokehold. It was uncalled for is what I'm getting at." Shaking his hand as if the teeth marks will disappear the way a Polaroid picture doesn't, he finishes by saying, "It's just not what heroes do, you know, man." I stopped scrubbing long enough to ask Hank how his foot is doing. He says it should be alright after a few more beers, and I ask him if he thinks that's really why I asked. Look, I'm wiping the beading sweat from my brow with what I now realize is a bloody towel. Tossing it down, I sit back in the passenger seat with a heavy sigh. Turning down the doggy-style CD in the middle of W Balls, I say, not to sound paranoid or anything, but literally millions of people have seen that video. Do you know how many people that is? This shit is getting crazy. Not a day goes by that April from the Riverfront Times doesn't write an article calling us Nazis. And never without somehow working in that missing party girl. No one speaks up right away. I don't know if they're considering what I said or ignoring me, but it causes everyone to pause anyway. When Murder Was the Case comes on, Fook feels compelled to mention the Jewish girl's name, insisting that she's missing and to say otherwise is heresy before turning the volume up louder. After Snoop's Faustian deal with the devil, however, I kill the music again to add, hey, I'm just saying, it seems like, I don't know, it feels like we should be monitored, or at least have someone telling us to be careful or something. Fooky starts driving more aggressively, swerving in and out of traffic, and in a passive tone, dripping with hubris, he says, you know, Alfie, with a lofty superiority, we all appreciate the lecture, but you know, you're not Professor Perfect over there. Before he has a chance to say something he won't be able to walk back, Hank decides to jump in and say something that has me wondering how long they've been conspiring against me. Schultz, his voice raspy and condescending, I've been saying for I don't know how long that walking around with those bitches is nothing but trouble. Now that Brutus and Cassius's menstrual cycles are synchronized, Fooky seizes the opportunity to pounce, saying, yeah, Schultz, when did you start getting pussy anyway? And another thing, dude, your little psychotic episodes aren't exactly the textbook definition of stability. He says this like it's some deep, dark secret that everyone's been tiptoeing around. Did you guys know that he thought we were in some Civil War battle being chased by a 9-headed monster last night? After the word vengeance is graffitied in dripping red spray paint across my mind, Dicky asked me in a way that no one has ever quite asked before. Yeah, Schultz, like, what's that like? I don't know if he had a reason for asking other than out of curiosity, so I decided to offer a real answer. I've been asked that question a million times, but I always simply told those doctors whatever I thought they wanted to hear. Though it's like trying to describe a nightmare in a linear, coherent narrative, what I end up saying is, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a foggy dream. I don't realize anything extraordinary is happening until I see the confused expressions of terror burning on strangers' faces. Blackouts are hard to explain. I get this troubling feeling that hits hard. Then it's like everything, from the song I'm writing, the bar stool I'm sitting on, or even a feather blowing in the wind, all demand the same attention. It's like I'm being quartered, and there's no way to distinguish from what's insignificant from what's relevant. It's maddening, I tell you, I explain. The doctors had some name for it. But you can never trust anything they say. Those types always have to be right. They can never accept anything that isn't cured with a pill. I'm sorry, but I'm not ready to just sign off on my insanity just to stroke some doctor's megalomania. I look back to make a visual connection. Maybe they're the crazy ones. Hell, maybe all of you are crazy. I mean, if a dog hears something you can't hear, you don't call the dog crazy, right? After a pause, Fook looks over at me and asks if Jews have a better sense of smell. I tell him I'm not sure, but he says, you know, because of the big old Jew noses. Yeah, Fook, I get it, I say dryly, then light a cigarette. We make the left onto Charbonnier, and I exhale a drag and watch the smoke stream out of the car, and as I'm rolling up the window, I hear Dicky's Spanish accent shining through when he says from somewhere in the back seat, and those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Then, when we pass Vintage Vine Hall in Delmar, Fook taps an envelope he's kept inside his jacket and tells us, look, when we get there, just let me do the talking. I'll handle everything. Hank scoffs, knowing he's committing a cardinal sin by asking under what authority those contracts were written up. It could have been taken a couple of different ways, but Fooky's default is always travesty. Look, if you guys don't trust me, think you can handle this on your own? Best of luck, boys.